Hey Answerly viewers, as a full-time nerd myself, I will be the first to admit that I just don't really get into sports. Baseball, basketball, football, they just don't really do it for me. But for some reason, I do find myself rooting and cheering along when it comes to fantasy sports. You know, the kind you find in books or on TV, at least in the science fiction and fantasy genre. Because of that, I thought I would take a moment to tell you about some of the best not real sports out there. The first I'd like to highlight, as I'm sure will be no surprise to anyone, is Quidditch. Quidditch comes from Harry Potter and is played entirely in the air on broomsticks. While I will admit I have been known to read a book while at football games, I'm usually on the edge of my seat during a good Quidditch match scene. Next up is Pyramid, which is a ball game played on a pyramid-shaped court in the newer Battlestar Galactica series. Pyramid is cool because while it was very popular before the Cylon attack, in the show it's used as a form of recreation when everything else in the universe seems kind of hopeless. I like it. Another great fantasy sport is Blurnsball. It comes from Futurama and it is described as a sport that was adapted from baseball after baseball itself was deemed too boring. Coming from someone who has actually slept through modern day baseball games, kind of makes me want to go fly to the 31st century and grab myself a ticket. Next on the list is Parasus Squares, which is a full contact, violent athletic sport from Star Trek The Next Generation. It's played by people from tons of different worlds and age ranges in the 24th century. This is one of many made up games from the Star Trek franchise, but as far as I can tell, it was the most popular. Last of the sports I'm going to talk about today is Calvin Ball. It comes from Calvin and Hobbes, and there are only two rules. 1. Players can make up new ridiculous rules at will, and 2. You can never play the same way twice. Talk about a game that never gets boring. What's your favorite made-up sport, and which ones did I leave off of this list, because I know there are plenty of other amazing ones out there. Let me know in the comments, and until next time, it's game over.